Well, welcome back to the Health Revival Show. Today, we have the honor of having Mel, who I was actually just on her podcast, which is the Our Sleeve Life podcast, on the show with us today. She is a bariatric surgery advocate and proud member of the 130-pound club. So I'm so excited to have you share your journey with us. I know you've been at this for almost a decade, having your surgery back in 2015. I love your mission just around breaking the stigma. When it comes to weight loss surgery, I know so many people have tried so many tactics prior to going, in for surgery. And there's just so much I'm sure that you've learned on your journey and that you share in your community that many other people don't have. So we're excited to have you here today and share your story. So we'll let you just kind of open it up with who you are and what you do in this world of supporting those that have had bariatric surgeries.
Well, first, thank you for having me. This is such an honor. I love being on other people's podcasts because it's nice to not be the one that interviews everyone. So this is pretty cool and a little awkward, but bear with me because I do have a pretty wild, not wild story, but definitely a story that I think relates to a lot of people because mine did start 10 years ago. And right now, like what I do is because of what I did 10 years ago. Like I'm a big advocate for health and wellness. I'm big on prevention care. I want people to literally live their best life. And I don't mean that like as a cliche. I mean that for reals. Like I want you to live long. I want you to play with your kids and your grandkids. I want you to go on all those trips. I don't want you to miss anything. I missed a lot. I didn't have a weight loss surgery until I was 28. So I missed a good part of my development years of being able to do a lot of the normal stuff that other people got to do. I didn't go to homecoming or prom. I had no guy dates. I was the big girl always. It was always me and one other person was the big girl of the group, right? So I was always looked at just like the funny one, the one that has a personality, the smart one. But I was never the dateable one. I was never the pretty one. The I was always just fun, which I still am. That's part of my personality. I love to just have fun and make people laugh and have a great time. But 10 years ago, I lost the biggest, like the most important person in my life, which was my father. So he died from liver cancer at 59 years old. Now, he is one of nine kids. Only one is left. They all have passed before 70. Most of them didn't even get to their 60s, like my dad, 59, right? So me and my older brother were very scared, like looking statistically at the numbers and being like, we might not make it to our like 70s or 80s. And like my goal is to at least get to 85. Like that's kind of like my mission is to get into my 80s and be able to walk around, like not being in a wheelchair, not being taken care of. Like that's where my longevity wants to go. And me and my brother both, I was over 300 pounds. My older brother was 427 pounds. We're big family. We're Irish and German. And we were fed just like, here's food all the time for any occasion, right? So it's going to be whether it's graduation, funerals, birthdays, like little to get togethers, food's everywhere. And it's a massive amounts of food. Like I remember eating lots of food and then be going back for seconds and thirds. No one's stopping me. No one's going, hey Mel, maybe we shouldn't go like at all. My mom was more like wanting to feed us more. Like if Mel's sad, she's gonna go get ice cream for me. Like there was certain things that I was just set up incorrectly and not processing my feelings. Like everything just got covered basically with food, whether you're upset, mad, happy, it was all done with food, deep fried food. And so once my dad passed, we realized what we've been doing is not good by any means. Like me and my brother have great jobs. Like we are smart as hell because we put our time into knowledge and not realizing like we might not last.
All right, if you're dealing with water retention, you're waking up puffy, your ankles or your wrists are really swollen, or you can't get your rings off, and maybe you're even dragging throughout the day, no matter how much water you drink, there's actually a good chance that you're not actually hydrating properly.
Exactly, because water alone is not enough. You need electrolytes, you need sodium, potassium, magnesium, because those things actually pull water into your cells. Otherwise, you're basically just flushing it out and wondering why you're still tired, you're still bloated, and you're still sluggish.
But here's the thing, most electrolyte supplements out there aren't helping you in any way because a lot of them contain things like natural flavors, food dyes and maltodextrin, which can irritate your gut. And these things can also spike your blood sugar when you're trying to heal.
That's why we both started using Buoy. It's super simple, just trace minerals and electrolytes in liquid form. No flavors, no colors, no sugar, no sweeteners, and you squeeze it into whatever you are drinking. Water, coffee, tea, smoothies, you name it.
And it's clinically backed by science too. So studies have shown that Buoy helps you hydrate better, 64% better in fact, and that's data coming from key blood and urinary markers, not just marketing fluff. And honestly, you can feel the difference. I've had many clients tell me their digestion's improved, they have less headaches, and they're better energy throughout the day.
And Buoy isn't just for people that go to the gym all the time and sweat a bunch. They actually offer a 35% lifetime discount for anyone that's struggling with chronic illnesses. Things like POTS, Hashimoto's, Crohn's disease, chronic migraines, and every autoimmune condition. They're really committed to making better hydration accessible to people who need it most.
I actually throw it in my coffee every morning because it's such an easy upgrade. You don't even taste it, but you're definitely gonna notice if you miss it.
If you're tired of playing hydration roulette and want something that actually supports your body, you've got to try Buoy. It's honestly one of the simplest ways to feel better faster.
So that really was the kick in the pants to be like, oh, we need to do something. So my brother actually went first. He went about 6 months prior to me. He did the lap band. He had great success with it, but he said the feeling of it, the pressure of it was awful. It was just insane. So he actually had to get that removed. I went 6 months later to the same doctor, but we did the sleeve. And we chose the sleeve because we didn't think that I needed too much to lose, even though I was 308 pounds. She's like, the RNY would make you like lose rapidly and super fast. And she's like, to be honest with you, with your body type and the muscle mass you have, because she does make you do the DECA scan. She makes sure like what part is everything. And she's like, you have a lot of muscle here. So I want you to do the sleeve. Yes, you're going to lose slower, but I do believe that's going to be better for you in the long run. And she wasn't wrong. Like I was a slow loser. And I felt bad at first because a lot of people around me were like, online were like, quick, quick, quick. And I'm just like 1 to 2 a week, very slow and steady. I didn't really have much stalls in the first year, but I think because I was working out, doing literally everything that she said, because I didn't have a big support system. So I followed Dr. Patterson. She's from OHSU in Portland, Oregon. And she gave me this big old binder. And legit, because I love school and research, I just went through the whole thing, tabbed that bad boy up, and just stuck to it. And I gave my husband at the time, like, he's a cook. So it was like, these are the things I can eat. We didn't even look at the stuff I couldn't eat. It was just like, what can you do? And this is how you do it. And so over the course of that first year, I did lose about 100 pounds. It took me about another year to lose that other part, that 30 pounds where I'm at now, which is kind of interesting because I'm literally the weight I was 8 years ago. And that's when I got to my lowest. So I'm literally at my lowest I've ever been in a whole decade, sitting right now. So I'm a test of time of telling you guys, like, you can stay on this journey, you can maintain. Will you regain? Probably. And that's fine. Like, what I've learned over the 10 years is that most people do. It's about 10 to 15 is the normal bounce back. Your body kind of gets to this low weight. And then once it sits there, it gains a little bit and it starts moving around what it wants. And I hovered literally at 180 for 3 years. But I also didn't work out like crazy. So, like, I stood at work, I had a standing desk. So I was literally standing for 8 hours. I worked with a bunch of jocks. So it was literally a competition. And they didn't believe that I could stand for 8 hours. And I'm like, not a fucking problem. And they were the ones literally the athletes were the ones dropping like flies. They're like, oh, 2 hours and I don't want to do it anymore. 4 hours and I don't want to do it anymore. And they're like, Mel, you don't even have to keep standing. Like, we're all down. Don't care. Like, I'm standing, I'm doing the thing. We're in competition mode. So that's what I do. But that actually helped me just maintain. I had a very high stress job. And so I was working 50 hours a week. Workout felt unreasonable at the time for that situation, because the first 2 years of my journey, I was working out like crazy. I was doing 2-a-days. I fell in love with working out. But once my routine changed and I moved to literally a different city, different house, new job, it went out the window. Now Mel's working 50-hour work weeks. I have a son. I have a husband. I'm going to school. Like, I was not trying to do too much. I did it all, but it's like a lot to do. And trying to like fit in working out was not going to happen. So I decided I would stand everywhere. So if we were like at friend's house, I'm standing. If we're outside, I'm standing. Like, I was like, this is kind of my way of like working out, but not working out. I would stretch all the time. I still do that. I'm a weirdo where like I will get up randomly in people's houses and just start stretching. I do it on the corners when I'm walking. I just was like, yeah, we got to keep moving, getting this, you know, I just feel good when I stretch. So I've learned over the years there's a lot of things you can do for yourself if you can't go work out, if you can't do these things. There's things around your house you can do. Like, you can deep clean, you can do laundry, you can stand while you're doing a bunch of things. Just stop sitting. Like, that's really the biggest problem now, is being sedentary. It's not cigarettes or anything like that anymore, and alcohol. It's sitting is what's hurting us. So I've learned over this years, like, we gotta keep moving, regardless of what you're doing. Just keep moving.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing that you have gone through that. And I mean, a lot of people, I'm sure you have some more data and statistics on it, but a lot of people gain weight a lot sooner than that time, right? They go through like the initial really big weight loss period, and then a lot of people gain most of it back.
About
Um,
year 3 and 4 is the hugest time frames of
okay.
regain. Yeah, I didn't regain till year 8. Um,
Okay.
the reason why I regained, and I was 50 pounds, it wasn't just a little. It was like, holy moly, what is going on? And that's because I had something very traumatic happen. My husband had a back surgery and it went completely wrong. And we ended up there for 6 weeks, 16 surgeries. I watched him die for 2 minutes, watched him get CPR for 2 minutes and come back. I had to be like, either he dies or we take his leg. So it was awful. And that happened 3 years ago. And what happens when that happens? You go back to the coping skills that and your whole world is wrecked. Like, routine, what is that? That's not happening. I'm at a hospital every day for 6 weeks. Like, that's, I was living there for the first like three, until they're like, no, you should probably go home. Like, this is, it's not good for your mental health to be here every night, every single day too. So yeah, like, trauma hit. And if you don't have a therapist, which I didn't have a counselor, I didn't have any meds, nothing. And so I went into therapy immediately. And I was diagnosed with PTSD. I was diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and what was the other one? There's like a fourth one that's interesting. I've never even heard before. Adjustment disorder. Because my job at the time, I was working for Progressive, and I was the person that negotiated with your attorney if my person hurt you. And I would go through all of your medical records and I would settle your claims. I would look at all your x-rays. So I'm literally like, I couldn't even go back to work because I was living it every single day. Thank God for FMLA and OFLA in Oregon. So that way, like, my job was secure. But this huge trauma happened and I was not ready for it. Old Mel was not ready for it. And I ate, and no one was around to watch me eat. So I didn't have anybody looking at me. Eric's at the hospital and I'm just at home, like, okay, I see him in like 8 hours. I'm gonna eat this fucking ice cream and then I'm going to bed. Like, it was intense. But I think if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have regained because I was on such a good point. But I'm glad that, like, it taught me new skills and to go to therapy. Therapy is very important. Today is a therapy day too, actually. So Tuesdays are great days for that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, I can't even imagine. I'd love to know what the plan was that was presented to you in terms of food approach, because obviously, how we have always been taught and what we believe in is like phases, right? So you can't undereat chronically forever and ever until the end of time because your body will adapt there. And so there needs to be periods of calorie restriction. There needs to be periods of calorie surplus to provide the body nourishment. So, like, what did they bring you in terms of the approach for how to lose that much weight and then work to sustain it while without ending up in like complete nutrient depletion, hormonal depletion, just dysfunction overall?
Well, I would love to say that they were very detailed, but they were not. So, shocker, right? But at least they did do a blood draw. They wanted to make sure all my levels were okay. I was low with my iron. I needed to get a couple iron infusions. And they said that my hormones were fine, but I don't think they checked all the hormones, to be honest with you. So there's a thing with that.
How to check hormones. That's the problem. It's like,
That's the deal, because I've been told that sometimes, because we are women, that you need to check hormones in different time frames. And I definitely, it was just the normal, like, your fasting one. So I'm like, what are you really checking? But they said I was in all the right levels except for the iron. Got my iron infusions, felt good. And then I just went literally, like, I was eating too much stuff, so I was like, okay, we got to go back a little bit to the basics. And I brought soda in. I don't know why I brought soda in, guys. I was so mad at myself because I didn't bring it in until year 8 and 9. Like, legit, like, why did I do this to myself? But I did it, right? So I had to cut all these things, and I'm like, why did I bring this to the house? So no more there's no more pasta. There's no more, sodas. There's no garlic bread. There's no cookies in the house. And then I had to really just, it kind of adjusted who I was hanging out with too. To be honest with you, I don't think people look at that enough, but I realized I was hanging out with a lot of people that don't care about health. Only people I was actually that cared about health were online. My online peeps care, right? But my in-person people seem to not. And so when I would go to their house for things, I would have to be the one that brings literally even veggies. Like, I would have to bring the veggies, I'd have to bring the fruit. They're just doing meat and cheese and bacon and all this, like, heavy, heavy stuff. And so I adjusted who I was hanging out with. That helped for a little while. And then I finally got on a GLP-1. I was very scared to go on a GLP-1. I waited that bad boy out for years, even after talking to so many experts about it. I still didn't feel comfortable because I'm like, this is interesting. I want more data. And my old co-host was on it, and it worked for her. And so, like, really, it was the food noise that helped her. So I was like, we would be places, and I would be already thinking about the second, and then, like, the third, and I would tell her, I'm like, is this what's not happening to you anymore? And she goes, absolutely. So finally, I found a compounded company, and I did that, and that really helped. Still slow rolled. I like the way that my body kind of loses weight. It is only going to be 1 to 2 pounds, and I'm totally okay with that because this time last year, I was up a bunch of weight. So I started July of 2024 on my first GLP-1, and it took me a full year to lose the 50 that I gained, but I also lost 62 total. So I lost the 50 plus 12 more. So that's why I'm down to my lowest I've ever been. I'm 179 right now. I've never been 179 except for that one time 8 years ago. And then probably that one time when I was like 8 years old. Like, I was a big kid. I was born big and I was always big. That was just, we accepted that at a young age. Me and my brother both did. We were just like, oh, we come from big families. Like, it wasn't, we never thought we could be small. We never even thought that was attainable. We didn't think that was part of our life or our family. So we're like, why would we think any different? But then, boy, guys, you really can change your health. Like, you can do it. You just have to do it. You can't depend on anybody around you. And then don't let the noise in. Because that's also a thing I'm learning as well, is that if you have toxic people around you, boy, does that change your mindset, your energy levels, the willingness to go on the walks, to go work out. Like, it has changed my life. I've exited four people in the last couple of years, and I feel so much better. Just getting those people out of my life and realizing that actually they're not here for me; they're here for themselves, and they want something from me. That's all it was. It was more of a transactional friendship, so it wasn't what I thought it was. And I'm no longer with my husband, as well as, even though, yes, we went through this traumatic thing together. He had a lot of drug habits behind the scenes that I did not realize that were there. So I had to do a divorce too. So there's a lot of things that happened through this decade. And I would say, guys, is like, as long as you don't give up on yourself, you'll still eventually get back and turn this thing around. Like, look, I was 179 8 years ago, got to my lowest. 8 years now, going through all the things I've gone through. back down to 179. So you can get there. And also try not to tie everything to that scale and that number. Like, I like to just feel good in my clothes. That's really like the jeans I'm wearing right now was from a friend in Atlanta who was always like is smaller than me. And now I can fit in her jeans. Like, I like that non-scale victory more than what the number is. I'm like, I'm fitting into her jeans that she gave me, and she's small. She has plastics. Like, what? This is wild to me.
I love
Wild.
that. You brought up something that's really, really important. We actually just had our first conference, live conference that we hosted in person. And this came up time and time again. We had 7 of our clients come and talk about their journey, with us the past year, or some of them a little bit longer than that. And a big point that a few of them brought up is not only shedding, old habits and belief patterns so that they can step into this new person, the version of themselves that, they are continuously evolving to be the best version of themselves. They have to let those things go and leave those things behind. But a lot of that also comes with shedding some of those relationships, right? From people who are toxic or trying to drag you down. And I think what you mentioned too is really important, is that those people weren't there for you, they were there for themselves. And by that, if they're around you who's also eating the tub of ice cream, then they don't feel bad, right? Their feelings and their actions then are some way validated because
Right.
you're all doing this together. Whereas if you're sitting there and having a cup of coffee while they are eating ice cream, they're feeling judged, right? And so
Mhm.
they don't like that. And therefore, then they'll make those comments back to you is like, come on, Mel, just have some ice cream. Like, or like I remember on my journey, like many comments of shame, right? Or just like teasing, if you will. So I think that's a really important that you brought that up, because no matter if it's a weight loss journey, if it's a health journey, somebody's going through, a lot of our clients, of course, in terms of like gut healing, like I always say to my clients, there's not a lot of wiggle room in this acute phase. Like it sucks. We are focused on these things that we can have. And I love that you mentioned that too. Like you weren't focused on all the things you couldn't have. You said, these are the things I can have. This is what I'm going to be doing. And this is, head down, my plan, my mission.
Yeah.
And so many people struggle with that. And so sadly, it does a lot of times come with the cost of getting rid of those relationships. At the same time, though, hopefully you realize that it's made you a better person and you're finding new relationships that are encouraging and uplifting and, going to be more impactful to you and actually be relationships instead of just kind of that surface level, you know, whatever you
Well,
want to
I
call
would say that they're out there. Like the good ones are out there. And I think that we have to shed the bad to see the good.
it. Mhm.
A lot of the people that have come out of the, I would say, woodwork are great people that have been around me this whole time. I just didn't realize that they were actually there for me. Like they're willing to work with me, help me, and I'm willing to do the same right back. Like they are, it's really hard to find someone that's going to reciprocate that. And the fact, because I pour myself into my friends and family, like if you call me, I'll be there immediately. Like I have 7 nieces and nephews. When they call, I drop everything. I go straight to whatever I need to go to, volleyball, like basketball. We're doing orchestra, choir, like whatever they need, I'm there, even if they can't get to their friend's house. Mel, can you drive me? Yes, ma'am. Like I want to be involved as much as possible, but you have to hone in on the good people that are there and are around you. And sometimes that's simple. It's your family, or it could be these friends that you haven't seen in a while. Like I just went to a duck game with one of my older friends I haven't seen in a couple of years. Her name's Megan, and she just messaged me because she was like, "I was thinking of you. I know you love football. My dad passed, and we have these season tickets, and I want to go with someone that loves football too." And I'm like, "Oh my god, I'd be there for you." And we did. We had a great time. And now that flourished, like the friendship again, where I'm like, I don't want to leave this friendship. Like, let's make sure, like, make this a point that we see each other at least once a quarter. And I love that we have to talk in business terms with each other, but it's like that's just what it is. We both work a lot, and she has a newborn baby and all these things. So I'm like, we need to see each other though because we're good for each other. Like we had the best time, and we weren't trying to get each other to like drink or eat the bad things. It was never even about that. Like old friends 100% would be like, Mel, why aren't you drinking? Mel, why aren't you eating? Like, oh, do you think you're better than us because you don't need a beer? Like, no, I don't. But like also I just don't want one. Like, why do I have to be judged because I just don't want something? And I am so done with those kind of people where I'm like, who cares? Let me be me. I'm going to let you be you. And it's really, this journey is personal, like, and we should treat it that way. I know lots of people in this community compare, and it's like, if I could just get in their brain and get them to stop comparing, oh my God, I think they would be so much more successful, because you're comparing yourself to someone else that has different genetics, different hobbies, different lifestyles. Like, you really don't know what they're doing. They're just giving you the highlights of what they're doing, and what I'm doing is not going to be the same for everybody else. Is there, of course, like some similarities? Absolutely. Of course, we're going to have to move our body. We're going to have to eat the right foods. And that's why I stick to what I can do, because why are we sitting here dwelling on what we can't do? Like, that's just time wasted, energy wasted. Like, give me a list of things that I can do, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'll do it for you too. Like, if you want me to help you with anything, I'm your girl. Like, I have a big sister program for a reason, because like I have tons of resources at my fingertips. I grew this community as much as I can, and I just want to give back. So it's like, come to me if you need anything. I don't mind. I don't It actually makes me feel good when someone comes to me and goes, "Hey, I have this problem. What do you think?" And then I'll just do a bunch of research. And then if I can't find the answer, I send them to people that have the answer. Like, I've sent people to go watch actually the Poop Queen and her reels. I pop her reels up in my stories because
Me
I find them,
too.
very educational. And I'm like, hey guys, go listen, because I do believe there's a huge disconnect in the bariatric world, even with surgeons, dietitians as well. They're not focusing on the gut, which you are. And it's kind of like the biggest piece that we need to focus on, because the gut actually runs everything, which I learned from you. And I kind of wanted to talk to you about that with weight loss. Like, I feel like that's missing. Like, how do we get people to learn more about gut health, and why is it important for our health, I guess? Like, I would like to know from you as the expert too, to
Yeah.
help my audience, like, what do we do?
Yeah. So I think when we kind of talked about this on the episode that we did, but when we think about your gut microbiome, I mean, that is the home to your immune system. That is also the only way that we're able to assimilate and absorb nutrients, right? So if we think about someone, how they can have good, healthy hormones, right? We've got to assimilate fats, we've got to build cholesterol, and then eventually turn that into, our hormones. And if we don't have the ability to assimilate the nutrients from the foods that we're consuming, or we're eating a bunch of processed garbage foods, right? I call them Franken foods that are really
Right.
enriched and fortified with all these synthetic fibers, synthetic vitamins and minerals. Your body doesn't use those the same way that it would, one ingredient whole foods. So we kind of have, two things here, right? Are we even getting the right nutrients in? And then two, do we have the ability to digest and absorb those things and turn them into energy? And when we're able to properly do that, we can support thyroid function, hormonal function, liver, gallbladder, proper detoxification, right? All of these systems in the body can work synergistically and run smoothly. And we can keep inflammation at bay because we're able to keep, toxins and things in our environment that should be cleared out of the body continuously cleared out, because we have a lot of antioxidants, these fibers that latch on, right, to these toxins and help clear them from the body. We have proper blood sugar regulation if we are supporting with, good protein levels and amino acids, and we're not doing a lot of these crazy carbohydrates, naked carbohydrates, right? Carbs are not bad by any means, but we always want to pair them with, good protein and good fat so that we can keep good stable blood sugar levels. The hardest part, and I think speaking specifically to anyone, whether it's the bariatric community or not, anyone who struggles with weight loss resistance, is inflammation. So there's many people out there who are going to demonize carbohydrates. They're going to demonize, you know, anything that you want. Some people will demonize fats. You know what I mean? Like, we went through the whole fat-free era in the 1990s, and that's when I kind of was in my dieting phases in the 2000s, right? Everything was fat-free, and that actually did us more harm than good, because again, those were processed frankenfoods. And so I kind of tying this all in to say that all of this changes our microbiome. So we have one ingredient whole foods that provide us with prebiotics, probiotics, right? That can support different bacteria in the gut microbiome to keep a good diversity. The more diverse our diet, the more diverse our microbiome, and the better chance we have of the good gut bugs outcompeting the bad gut bugs, right?
Yeah.
On the flip side of this, we have again a lot of these Franken foods, that standard American diet: salt, sugar, fat, highly addicted. This is why people get addicted. And what's the phrase for Pringles, right? Once you pop, you don't stop.
Yep.
Because food, big pharma, they know that these things light up your dopamine receptors like a Christmas tree. And so you just keep hand to mouth, hand to mouth. And that could be anything. It could be pizza, it could be chips, it could be ice cream, whatever that person's kind of MO is, right? I think everybody has a little bit different things here. But they also know that that causes disease and dysfunction because it drives inflammation up. And then you have big pharma over here that benefits from this cascade, right? So we have gut dysfunction that's happening because we're now not fueling the microbiome with the right nutrients, antioxidants, fibers, prebiotics, probiotics, all of the things that we need to get the proper nutrients, micronutrients, minerals, and so forth to fuel a body to stay less inflamed. And when that happens, gut dysbiosis really changes. And that will also change your neurotransmitters. It will change your metabolic function. It will change cell signaling and communication. And this is where we get into the environment that's an inflammatory state. Insulin resistance is going up. Thyroid is struggling. Adrenals are struggling. Your body's becoming more and more stressed out. And at the same time, you're craving more things because you're becoming, you know, your body is so wise. It's looking for things like chocolate. Here's a great example, right? We get on our period, we crave chocolate. What are we actually craving? Probably magnesium, zinc, iron, right? I know I always crave magnesium generally, right? But from a burger perspective, I always crave like steak or red meat around my period because I'm
Like
not
you, yeah.
iron, you
Yeah.
know,
I want steak or I want steak and chocolate. Those are the two.
Yeah. So it's these vitamins and minerals, these key things that our body needs to function. And so we get into that place of dis-ease. It's very hard to get out of it. And sadly, what you will hear from the diet side, at least what Becca and I know for decades heard when we struggled with our weight, is calories in, calories out. Nobody really focused on the micronutrients, the one ingredient whole foods. I did Weight Watchers. It was successful. I lost 40 pounds, gained 50 back. Therefore, it wasn't successful. What it taught me is how to look at packages and determine how many points it was, and never taught me how to look at how is this body or how is this food actually going to fuel my body? Am I going to stay satiated from it? Or an hour later, after that 100-calorie pack, am I going to be searching for the next thing because I'm not getting the amino acids and the vitamins and minerals that I need? And so, bringing all that back to your question around gut health, it all matters because this is going to fuel dysfunction essentially in dysbiosis in the microbiome. And bacteria are very smart. They know how to make you feel bad and they know how to make you feel good. So if you've got, for example, bacteria that, really love sugar and carbohydrates, that's what you're going to crave. And when you start to go to a place where maybe you decided you're going to do keto or you're going to do carnivore, right? You're going to remove all that. You feel crummy for a period of time because the bacteria are basically, saying, I need this food. And then when it's not getting fed, eventually they'll start to die off. But those microbes are intelligent and they know how to mess with your neurotransmitters. And I think this is the big piece that a lot of people don't understand. And so when it comes to cravings, they're just fueling the craving, right? They're getting that fix in the moment, but not realizing that under the hood, there's a lot of dysfunction that we need to address. And sadly, doctors, like Becca said, even from the hormone perspective, like they don't even know how to read your labs. They're not checking for these things to see, do you have a lot of vitamin and mineral deficiencies? That's an easy fix. They don't even want to check vitamin D anymore, but there's many things we can see on blood work. Does the person have low stomach acid? That's going to impair how they break down and absorb their nutrients. That's also going to impair the chemical signaling between the pancreas and the liver for insulin and all of these other things that we need to digest and absorb food. And then they're never checking insulin, which is, I think, it should be illegal, to be honest. Insulin resistance, we're going to see high insulin before we see high blood sugar levels. If you can check your fasting insulin, you will catch metabolic disease and be able to reverse it much easier before that A1C elevates. Instead, what they're going to do is just generally look at like a complete metabolic panel and fasting glucose. And if you don't flag above 100, everything is fine. Even when you're coming to your doctor and you're saying, I'm tired, I can't lose weight, I got brain fog, joint pain, fatigue, I got fat in my midsection that just won't come off.
Yep.
Yeah, everything's fine, Mel. Your TSH looks great. Your fasting glucose is fine. So we don't see a need to look any further. And I think there's such a disservice because if you checked fasting insulin and you checked a free T3, you'd probably be able to fix a lot of these issues before we get to the point of needing medications, needing surgery. And again, those things are not bad. We love peptides. We love GLP-1s when they're used properly. But if you are listening to this and you're like, man, I am struggling and my doctor just says everything is normal, check your labs. I bet they didn't run that free T3 and I bet they didn't run that fasting insulin.
Well, and I was thinking as you're talking is like the reason why I'm doing so well in the GLP-1 is because I am insulin resistance. Like there is an insulin problem here and they never caught it just because I'm not over these levels. I'm not pre-diabetic and nothing popped that they're like they're doing exactly what you're saying. Like they're just not even acknowledging it. But then like I am though. Like there is something like genetically there's something here. And oh boy, like it has shown me completely a difference of when I eat, how I eat, and like it's totally changed the way I look at things. And I was going to ask you because I came up with this idea last night, and maybe it's out there, maybe you know where it's at. Because thought it would be really cool because I do have the mindset of like, what can you do, right? So I'm like, is there a test out there, kind of like an allergy test, where like if they pricked you, then now they know what the allergies are, right? And we're so different from each other. So I'm wondering if there is a test that goes, hey, Mel, we are going to we've done your test. Now, these are the things that will make your body, not anybody else's body, but your body work really efficient. Like that's the thing that I want. I don't know if there is a test out there, but I think that would be great because then it would actually show people, oh, hey, Mel, you're different than Amanda or Lisa. Like, look how it would make people not be like so hard on themselves and not be like, oh, I'm the dummy or I'm the problem when it's actually like, no, you're just not eating the right foods. Like
Yeah. So
I
we
know they
track
say,
so like the foods that your body would utilize better for energy, I mean.
yeah, yeah, just
So
because I feel like, oh,
back away on this too, but the first two things that come to mind, number one is getting a continuous glucose monitor. Levels has some really great data and research around some of the foods that generally spike people. So, for example, they found oatmeal and grapes, even though oatmeal has fiber in it, were two foods that really spiked certain, individuals in terms of the glycemic index. So, from a continuous glucose monitor standpoint, what you could do real time is see, because again, your microbiome is always changing, and therefore how you maybe utilize different foods, are going to change as well, because what stands true today is probably going to be different in a year from now, depending upon how metabolically flexible you are, your muscle mass, all these different things. So I like a continuous glucose monitor. I think that can give you real time data. You can also keep track of symptoms. Hey, did that food energize me? Did it make me tired like 2 to 3 hours after I crashed? And that could have been a well balanced meal too, right? Like it could have been a nice salad with some good olive oil dressing and salmon, whatever. But yeah, sweet potato. Becca can share her story about this. Sweet potato didn't work well for me. Now, the second thing that came to my mind is something called an MRT. It's a mediator release test. This looks at your immune system's response over 72 hours after ingestion and what kind of chemical response is happening. We call this chemical warfare. Now, we're generally looking at this more on the side of inflammation, joint pain, brain fog, fatigue, mast cells, cytokines, histamine, different responses. Yeah. So that would be more like an inflammatory side. But that also is going to change, right? So there are things that you could do now and you could live your life like this for maybe the next 6 months. But if you have a good microbiome and we've got low inflammation and good metabolic function, the goal would ultimately be that you're very flexible and able to consume a lot of this stuff. So those are the two things that came to my mind. I can weigh in.
Yeah, the only other thing I was thinking is genetic testing, which there are some genetic tests that claim that this person, based on their genetics, is going to eat these types of foods and be better off because of that, which I disagree with. I do not like those genetic tests. That's not the type of genetic testing that we use. The style that we use gives a lot more information on predispositions around inflammatory abilities to be able to like turn on inflammatory pathways, struggling to turn them off. We see those drive a lot of issues for people because a lot of times, yes, over consuming food in terms of calories does drive weight gain. But there are some people that could eat thousands and thousands of ho-hos and not gain the same weight as another person that does the exact same thing. That comes down to genetics. And so it absolutely, like you said, your father, one of, 9 people in that family, many of them are already deceased, unfortunately. And
yeah,
so there are some people that genetically are dealt a little bit of a poor hand, right? And on top of the lifestyle factors that they were raised with,
Yeah.
creates the perfect storm, right? And so within our genetic testing, how we use it clinically is really powerful to help validate for people like why they've struggled with certain things and what they might need to do to be smarter about how to live their life in a better way. It really does not come down to food. And I do not believe that there is one diet that works for everyone because you shouldn't follow the same diet forever. It is about diet variation, like Liz was already talking about. You should be metabolically flexible to eat a high fat diet, low carb, moderate protein, and like thrive just as much as you can eating higher carb and moderate protein and low fat, right? It's about how your metabolism and how your cells are using that energy. And so that comes down to a whole different aspect of like, what's the state of the immune system? How is this person's, overall metabolic health? And that's where blood sugar tracking is really helpful. And like you said, your metabolic markers didn't seem that bad, but not many people run fasting insulin. And the conventional out range for fasting insulin is above a 26. It shouldn't be above an 8. Like there is a much different range when we're looking at optimal levels, which is what we do within our practice, right? Than when someone is going to a doctor and they're like, it's not red. It's like, yeah, but I can't lose weight. Like my body literally is not allowing my cells to use energy properly. And so in those cases, the other thing that a lot of people need to understand and kind of getting back to the one person can eat the same exact diet as another person, but one person is obese and the other person seemingly is a normal weight, right?
Right.
A lot of that does also come back to the immune system because the immune system's power in driving inflammation and in turn water retention and weight is a lot bigger than people realize. Like a lot of women are not walking around full of
If you feel tired all the time and you're drinking water, you're probably missing electrolytes because you need electrolytes to get intracellularly hydrated. We love Buoy because this is an easy way to get in sodium, potassium, magnesium, and trace minerals into your day without any of the junk fillers that most powders use.
body fat. They are swollen from the immune response that's happening internally. And so again, kind of getting into the weeds a little bit, but coming back to there is no one diet. There is no, this person should eat this diet, that person should eat that diet. The MRT is helpful, but we really don't use that to guide a diet. We use it when there's an internal storm going on in terms of like that person's gut, autoimmunity, things that are happening that we can't calm down and we need to calm down quickly. Or you look at eosinophils, a lot of times can be a good guide. Those are a type of white blood cell that is ran on just like a CBC panel. When those are really elevated, it's an indication that there's some unknown food sensitivities happening. And so that's another time we might use an MRT test. But I encourage people to experiment. And a CGM, like Liz mentioned, is a great way to do that. Personally, you can also get a keto mojo and do a finger pricker if you don't want to pay for the CGMs. They're getting cheaper and cheaper these days. But that's going to change too. So it's, what is the state of your body right now? How do you feel when you eat certain things? And are you trying different things, right? Are you bringing in different variety? Do you notice when I eat this for lunch, I have great energy, I don't have any bloating, but then I eat this and I do, So like, what is it about those foods? That's where working with someone can also be really helpful. We're like taking data in a journal. I know it sounds super nerdy and boring, but you can learn a lot about your body when you just pay attention to it.
Well, that was the thing I was going to say is that like pre bariatrics, I didn't think about any of that, right? Like none the wiser. I'm just eating as I go. I'm just going with the flow. Like, hey, that bag of chips looks great. I really am a saltine girl, so mine was always crackers was the problem for me. And like there was just this huge disconnect of what I was putting in my mouth and what was happening to my body. I didn't even realize like it's literally directly affecting me. Um, I had to really sit down that first couple of years and look at what I was doing and why it was working and realizing, oh, I have just been overfeeding myself. I've been like gorging myself. I remember us having like it's almost like it's like a win when like you go to Olive Garden or you go to Red Lobster or whatever and you feel like, oh, I'm so full, like I could just be rolled out of here. And like that used to be like a win for us. And I'm just like, why didn't we have that mindset? Like it's just so confusing. And it's like now after you go through any, I think, weight loss journey, you start realizing like one that's wild to even have in your head. Like this is a cool thing for us to do. We need to move away from that kind of mindset. And then I think once you start like unveiling everything, it's like, it's not just food. It is your genetics. It is your microbiome. It is all these things. And I feel bad because I listen to all these girls, all these women and men that are just shaming themselves in the mirror, being so mean to themselves. And I hear it all day. And I'm just like, guys, it's some of these not even your fault. Like there's also like there's so much that you just don't know about your body yet that you can't change, or you're gonna have to go through some testing and figure some things out, and you're gonna have to work with some people. But sometimes they just feel like that's just overwhelming and too much for them, and so they just don't do anything at all. So it can be very paralyzing, and it's like that's where I feel like my job comes in as the advocate and being like, no, look, you do matter. Yes, it might take some time, but let's do the upfront stuff. Because I know with all the different jobs that I've had, just even doing the weight loss stuff, if you do all the upfront work, back end is so much easier. Like so much easier, everyone. So yes, it might take up some time, and really, like we make it way worse in our head than it is. We think it's going to take hours and it's going to be annoying to bring my journal around after meals and making sure things are written down, or even just in my little notes on my phone. And by the way, it doesn't take long. We're just acting like it takes long. It's literally like 2 minutes.
Mhm.
Like I've done it myself just to see what is the timing? What does this even really look like? Because I chat like the my fans challenged me was like, let's see how much protein you're getting. And I was like, son of a bitch, let me see. And they're not wrong. I was not getting enough protein. I was only hitting like 50 grams a day. And for some reason in my head, you're hitting top notch, Mel. You're getting like 90, 100, like whatever. No, I was lying to myself. I literally missing like a meal and a half basically every day. And I wasn't losing anything, because I'm not feeding myself right. Like that's what I've learned even through the people that do some bodybuilding. Like they're like, you have to eat more, by the way.
Mhm.
And that's a whole mind shift because it's like we've been taught all the time, eat less, move more. Eat less, move more. And it's actually eat more, move more. Like it's never actually eat less, guys. Unless you're like taking in 50,000 calories or 5,000 calories a day, that's a different story. But most of us aren't. Most of us are literally trying to just do 1,200 calories a day. I've seen people doing 800, 500, and I'm like, and when I see those numbers, I'm like, stop it, please. Like your body just can't function. Like you got to think about it. Like this is how I tell my followers. It's like, hey, you're trying to literally drive a car every day. You're trying to raise children. You're trying to discipline yourself. And you really think 500 calories is going to help you? Like you have to kind of break it down in real time. It's like that's not even feasible. That's not what we were doing before man made everything, right? Like in the 1700s and 1800s, we were actually eating way more than 500 calories, but we
Yeah.
were moving more. But it was, we weren't sitting every day.
Yeah.
So you have to be very conscious of what you're doing and not say, "Oh, I'm just gonna do 500 calories and be fine." Like I like it freaks me out because I'm like
Yeah.
I could function all day.
Well, and I think that people forget all that the body requires to be functioning. So when you're only giving it 500, 800, 1,000, 1,200 calories, you're slowing down detoxification pathways, you're slowing down gut emptying, you're slowing down thyroid function, brain function. Your cells literally don't have the needs that they require to process. So you're going to end up with brain fog. You're going to end up with more constipation or bloating because food's going to sit in the stomach longer. You're going to end up with inflammation because your body's not going to be able to handle what it's doing and it's going to compensate. And so a lot of people actually get swollen when they undereat for too long because their body's trying to basically manage the hydration balance that it can't maintain because you're not giving it. Food is also how we hydrate to an extent. And so there's so many aspects that people don't think about. They're just like, oh, less calories equals less weight on the scale. But less calories equals less function of your body until your body literally is going to shut down all unnecessary functions like your hormone production, your thyroid function. Your hair is going to start falling out. You're going to feel exhausted all the time. You're not going to be sleeping well. Like there's so many things that will start to happen. And then guess what? It's going to be a lot harder to fix. Liz and I talk about all the time. I would rather someone come in all day, every day that is overeating than someone that has been chronically under eating, because the person that has been chronically under eating is a lot harder to fix and it takes a lot longer. So there's just so many things that get affected when you underconsume that people don't think about. So
Yeah.
it's warning. Uh, you are going.
I might even more because like I was thinking of all these things, but now you just put another top like list on top of that of what can happen of non-functioning. And I also want to pinpoint like, by the way, this affects not just your body, it also affects your work. Like how much production can you do? Do you feel productive at work? Are you giving quality, you know, like presentations and facilitating things? Like it affects everything. Are you giving your kids the attention they need? Are you giving them information that they need? Are you around? Because when I was in the fogs, I wasn't completely present. And within the fog, my sentence structuring for emails were off. My dates were off. My timing for things were off. So it's not just, oh, I'm not losing weight or I'm just going to do this to myself so that way I can lose weight. It's actually affecting my family and my work life. And I didn't even realize it. When I finally got my health in check, and my friends do, like my work friends are feel bad because they're like, we gave you so much shit for like not being able to get your sentence structures right. And I was like, I know, but now we know what it was. It's because I wasn't, like, the fog was awful and huge on me, and I didn't even realize it until it was gone. And by the way, guys, if you have brain fog and it's finally when it gets gone, you're gonna feel amazing. You're just like, whoa, I can do all this stuff and my brain doesn't hurt and I can clearly do things. Like it's a lot that changes over time, and I'm just happy that like I took the leap to finally, change myself so now I can help change others because I there's so much education that's just not out there. And my podcast is all about entertainment with education. Those two E's are huge for me because I don't want a paywall behind education. I don't think that's fair. Um, we need to share. We need to help as much as possible because I already knew some of this from from the Poop Queen, but now I know even 10 times more. It's like this is wild, guys, and like I said, I see it every day that people beat themselves up over it. And that they tie their worth to the scale and the number, and it just makes me sad because it's like you're worth so much more than that damn scale. Throw the scale. Like you need to fix different things in your life, and then all of a sudden everything else gets better. It's like the whole rising tides. Like, when everything starts functioning at a premiere, like prime, you start doing a lot better with family, friends, with your work stuff. Like, I can tell you that because of the weight loss and me losing 130 pounds and cutting out toxic people, that like I never thought I'd be running two companies by myself. I didn't think I'd be traveling. Traveling was like unheard of in my family. We thought we would never even go to like a football game at a stadium because I was raised very poor. I come from hillbillies and bikers. And that was just not our forethought. It was more like survival every day, not, oh, will I ever get to the East Coast? I never thought, guys, I would ever get to the East Coast. And when it happened, I cried because I was like, this is like the hugest bucket list, not just for me, but for my family. Like, this is insane. We just never thought we would be able to do these things. But now that like I'm smaller, I'm able to function better. I'm able to help others. And now I get to actually live a life that's worth living and not just going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home. Like we all have that cycle, but if we can break it up and have a little fun with it and a little education and take care of ourselves, like we're just going to live longer and better. And that's really what I want for everyone. And that's why it's so important to me for people to know that like there are ways to help yourself. You just have to ask for help. And if it's not you guys, ask me. If it's not me, ask a friend, someone.
Yeah.
Just don't feel like it's not okay to ask because it really is okay.
It is. And I think one of the things brought up there that I will just kind of wrap this up with is it doesn't really matter the weight on the scale as much as it does what are your daily actions. Like the way that you build confidence and the way that you change your life is by showing up and taking action. And if you're proud of those actions, right? I got up and I went for a walk today. I drank more water today. I hit my protein goal. I went to the gym. Whatever it is, like those things that are in alignment with the goals that you've set, Fourth, if it's a weight loss journey, right? Like you have to have several things, kind of fall into line there to support that consistently day in and day out. And if you're doing those things, then you're going to be proud of yourself. And just because of that, you're going to show yourself, like I always say, like you need to get that traction and the momentum. And once you do that, it's a lot easier to keep going. You've mentioned several times, people feel overwhelmed. Where do I start? They feel overwhelmed with, the feeling that I have to scale this mountain or that I can't do it or whatever. And for me, what I found, this was post college, peaking at like over 200 pounds. I was doing all these, fad diets. I remember I was working at Target and I decided to do the 17-day diet that another girl was doing. And by day 4, I was like puking in my office because all it was protein and Greek yogurt. It was disgusting.
Oh,
I was like, this is it. I'm done. Like, I cannot keep trying the next extreme because, Weight Watchers, again, lost 40 pounds, gained 50 back. Then I was, trying to do the MyFitnessPal thing. And then I was trying to do the carnivore diet and I was trying to do, all the different things. And all of it was unsustainable. It was really unrealistic to do long term. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on being 1% better every day. If today I can get my water goal in, awesome. I'm going to keep that up tomorrow and I'm going to try to improve my protein. And I just kind of took that mentality every single day of trying to see these small improvements. And eventually over time, weight was falling off. Like you're saying, brain fog was subsiding, energy was improving. Then I was feeling more motivated to go to the gym, right? All of those things really matter, but it doesn't happen unless you take action. So if you are somebody feeling overwhelmed by today, this podcast, right? Maybe this long journey that you have, pick one or two things and focus on those, whatever feels doable for you. Focus on that for the next week or two. Prove to yourself that you can do this. Prove to yourself that you can be consistent. I always remember, and we've talked about this on our podcast several times, is like the Jerry Springer, the comedian, when he was doing all of his jokes, he had a calendar, a consistency calendar. And he's like, I didn't want to miss a day where I had to put a red X. So even if my joke was really bad, like I still wrote a joke, you know,
yep.
not a lot of his best jokes probably came on some of those bad days, but he just showed to himself that he could keep doing that. And I think it was 100 days that he challenged himself to. And so I would encourage that for anybody listening here as well. Like pick something, whatever it is, 10,000 steps every day, 3 liters of water every day, half your body weight, whatever that looks like for you, and just show yourself. And then eventually all this other stuff that we're talking about becomes easier and you're building that mental grit and showing yourself that you can do hard things. So this has been great, Mel. Let our listeners know where they can find you, connect with you, what your community is online, if they are someone who's looking for that support group, how they can get interconnected with your community.
Yeah, so you can find me at a lot of places, but I keep it very simple. It's Our Sleep Life Podcast, literally on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. You can find us on all the streams, and hopefully you'll like, comment, and share. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And then I also have my website, oursleeplifepodcast.com. Which is actually where you can find like meetups that I'm going to. You can find merch there. You can find my support group there. There, I call them my benchies. A bunch of ladies came over this past weekend. Actually, I got 5 ladies from the benchies that actually live in Oregon. And they drove down. Everybody just kind of drove over and was like, I hosted at my house and we hung out. And that's what I love. That's what I like to do is be with my people. So go over to patreon.com/OSLP. You can become a benchy. It's literally $10 or higher on that tier. But what's cool about it is that you do get a Facebook group. You get literally an expert call every month where Miss Poop Queen's going to be one of ours for September. So it's very exciting. We've had Dr. Spencer. We've had lots of different people on for our experts. And then you get a monthly call with all the patrons together. And then you also can get, like, you get discounted on all the tickets like JDY, or even when I host an actual show, they get first pick on everything. So, and I do want to mention that we have 3 things that are just been added to the Patreon, which is a book club. We have 22 people already in that book club. So we read the Let Them Theory already. Oh my God, changed my life. Now we're doing more of a sci-fi, which is Bones Beneath My Skin by TJ Klune. And everybody votes on the book, and then we all read that book and we talk about it. We meet twice a month. We also have the weekly chew. So this is us building literally like recipes, instructions, and you get the grocery list. And we are going to be, me and Shay Quinn from the Waiting Table podcast. we are actually going live every other Tuesday to show you the weekly chew. And that is exclusive just for the weekly chew members. And then the Big Sister program, which is me. So you get to meet with me twice a month, about 30 to 45 minutes, and I just hold you accountable. Or if you just need someone to talk to and shoot the shit, I'm your girl. If you want to focus on water or you want to focus on protein or movement, same thing, I'm your girl. We're working on gratitude this month. So I'm having my little sisters all write gratitude things every single day, and then we share them together once a week. So I'm very involved with my people. So definitely come over, hang out with us. You're not going to be, even if you're shy, that's okay, because they all love you and will bring you on in. So come over and be one of our benchies too. Because I call them my benchies because they used to be called the losers bench when the community kind of started. And
Mhm.
I really didn't like the name the losers bench because I'm like, we're not losers. Like, I get that they're saying, oh, we're losing, so we're losers.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of us have been made fun of our whole life. I'm not, I've been bullied before, like 9 years old, getting bullied in elementary school. Like, we're not calling ourselves losers by any means anymore. So it's the winners bench, and you
I
guys
love
are my benchies. And so you guys will always be having positive and safe place to go to. You can ask any questions you want in there. Legit, we have like people from 24 years old to 65. Like,
I love that.
you don't have to worry. Like, there is an age group for you in that, like over like 150 people. So come hang out with us. I'm here for you.
I love it. Thank you so much, Mel. And we will be in touch very soon.
Thank you.
Awesome. You are so welcome. So I don't know when this will air, but we'll